Cast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hey everyone, it is Brian Kaz here, joined by my friend and business partner, Sean Casey. We have another Wednesday marketing webinar for you today. And on this one, it'll be basically part two of what we did last week because you guys, you overwhelmingly voted to do another call of this. I think well over 90% of the votes were to do another call, just like last week, where it was basically examples of your businesses and what we do to better market them. So, you know, in the past, we've done like, you know, a handful of website analysis and stuff like that, but this is a little bit different. Instead of focusing on like the website side of things, especially instead of looking at just like the SEO side, we're focusing more on how to basically, or what we do to basically market them better, or stuff that we do to basically tweak the business or go about the marketing side of things. So we might briefly touch base on a couple ones. If there's like an extreme case of like an SEO fix or something we do there, we might briefly touch base on that. But most of these will just be basically marketing tips specific to each of the businesses that you sent in. Now, this has probably been, I think, the most popular response that we've gotten in terms of like when we've asked in the past people to send in examples or stuff like that. We've gotten a ton of you that have sent them in, so we easily would have enough to do it, probably at least 5 calls worth, if not more. I'm not even sure if we'd get them all in 5 calls, probably even more like 6 or 7. So what we'll do is we'll do part 2 right here, where I try to pick like a variety of different businesses, but if yours isn't picked here, there's 2 things to basically know. One is, a lot of times the tips basically given for one also apply to you. For instance, there's several products or several businesses we've had where they were selling some kind of like a health type product. Like it might be a supplement, it might be you know, some kind of like a diet, you know, all sorts of things like that. So there were at least probably like 3 or 4 of you that had you know, something kind of like that. So oftentimes the tips we give to one apply to all of those right there. Whereas there's a handful that had like a local business, a handful that were, you know, affiliates for various things. So keep in mind, even if yours isn't picked, oftentimes the tips and stuff easily apply to you as well. The second thing is, if you guys want, and you can just say a quick yes in the chat box, we can keep the submissions that we didn't get time to go over, and in a future call we can do the exact same thing. So we have some other stuff planned for next week, but in one of the future calls, if you guys really like this stuff, let us know, and we'll certainly go back and do a few more of these in the future, because if you guys seem to really like it, we'll definitely do more. So just let us know if you like it or don't like it, and we'll do what you guys want right there. So I think it's a lot of fun to actually go through a lot of your businesses and say, hey, you know, here's a few things that I like, or a few things that I do, a few things that I might change, because hopefully you guys get a lot of value out of that, because we definitely like it. All right, and as always, I know there's a handful of you that are new here, so we have these calls every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, which is right about now. We'll host a live training and or Q&A call for our members. Now, the vast majority of these will be with either myself or Sean. Very occasionally, we might have a special guest speaker if we think they have basically a topic of value to you guys. Now, if you're here or you're registered for this series, you'll get a reminder each week so you don't forget. But if you can't make one, we'll have the recordings in the members area within a day of any of the calls under the training tab on the left side navigation bar. And if you want a chance to win $100 today, make sure to join our free Facebook group, which you can if you go to the link right there, getwebfire.com/FB group. If you go there right now, if you're not a free member of that Facebook group, just click join, and Sharon will probably approve you within like a few minutes. And towards the end of this call, we'll give you instructions on what to do there to basically automatically enter to have a chance to win $100. That will do the drawing live towards the end of this call, and we'll give away $100 at the very end. We'll actually pay almost immediately over PayPal right there. So if you want a chance to win $100 like we do almost each week, you can make sure to join that free Facebook group right there. Now we can move on to the training for this week, where we'll be able to basically talk about how to better market your businesses that you sent in for us to review. Now, last week we did the exact same thing, and you guys again voted for wanting to do the same thing this week because we had a lot of submissions and we got even more. So again, if you guys really like this, let us know, and we can definitely do more of these in the future, because again, we probably have enough of the submissions right off the bat to probably do like 6 or 7 calls on them alone. So obviously it was a popular topic amongst you guys, and that's always good. So for the overview, first we'll do the overview of some of the businesses and how we'd start marketing them, or what we'd maybe change with them. Then we'll do some demonstrations of the tools to help in some of those cases with Webfire and such, so like certain tools and stuff that we'd use to help with each of the businesses. And then we'll do the Q&A, so if you have any questions or anything like that, you can always feel free to ask those in the chat box. Sean and Sharon are also on this call, so they might be answering back some of the questions via actual text or the chat box while I'm basically talking. But towards the end of the call, if there's any other questions or anything else left, we'll do some of those live as well. So make sure to type your questions away, and we'll try to get all of them answered. And with that, I'm just going to pause the screen right now as I go to my browser, where I have a handful of the sites that were sent in that we'll do kind of like a marketing analysis of. So just give me a second to pause, and we'll go to the sites. All right, so the first one up here, which is called mobilecontact.com, which I definitely like the domain with that. And they have basically a header of get free advertising on the best websites and apps, only pay for in-store sales. So what I like and dislike right here, right off the bat, is I like the concept of, hey, I only pay when I get sales. That's obviously much more appealing than, I pay to have an ad and I risk to see if it works or not. So you'd probably get a lot of attention. But, it's a little confusing as to what that is right there. And I don't like how so much space is taken up at the top with just like a big gray area. So I'd maybe condense that down a bit and maybe have like a short video or something explaining the process a bit, because it's cool that you have all these guys that have used it, but I really don't quite know what it is, and you explain it in 3 steps right here, but it's still like a little confusing. Like it looks like if you're a business, probably a local one in this case, you basically would offer like a cash back offer, and then you guys promote the offer for free, and then basically people shop at your stores and buy. Now, presumably, you're making money in some way here, but it's again, it's a little confusing as to what the whole thing is and what the business has to do as a whole. So maybe just like a quick little video that like lays out like all the steps and the exact process and the examples. Like, hey, here's what a prospect of yours sees. They see this when they go here, they see their special deal here, yada yada. They go here, they buy this, and you only pay X when you get that sale, or you only pay the flat monthly fee, and you get to keep all the sales, or whatever it might be. Right there, I'd probably explain that a bit more. But one thing that I do as far as like tool wise is, this sounds like kind of like similar to Groupon, except it applies to like perhaps almost everything. I'm not quite sure. So with essentially Groupon, or like a coupon site, you usually make like a special offer, like hey, get a yoga class for half off, or get a 1-hour massage for basically the price of what a half-hour one might be. So they have a lot of offers like that on Groupon, but the only downside is oftentimes it's for a specific product or service, whereas this seems like, you know, if they get a cash back offer to shop at a store in general, you know, might not be product specific from, you know, the sounds of it right here. So it looks like it's kind of a cool twist on like a Groupon. So one thing that you could do as far as like a marketing side of things is you could reach out to businesses in, you know, your local area or wherever you want, or wherever you're trying to target, that are already, you know, advertising on Groupon or having their own offers on Groupon, because they understand, you know, the power of the sales that a site like that can send, and they might be also open to trying something like yours out as well. So that that'd be one of the first things I do is I'd say, hey, who's on Groupon right now in any given area, and try to reach out to them and just say, you know, hey, I see you have a offer on Groupon. We have a site that does something, you know, in our opinion, a little bit better, and here's some info on that. You know, if you're interested in it, let me know. Feel free to check it out here, and say, hey, it's free to do this, and just have a quick little page or like video basically explain it all for them. So that'd be one way that you could do it right there. The other way is if you had like a video or something that explained it in just a little more detail, you could reach out to individual businesses in any given area. So I don't know if you market a certain area at a certain time, or, you know, if you're nationwide, or you know, at all time, or what. But if you were in a specific area at a certain time, you could reach out to all the businesses in that area. There's actually a tool we have called Lead Power Machine, which helps find local business leads of like any kind in any area, you know, in the world. It gives you their contact info, both, you know, their email, their number, their address, all that stuff. So you have tons of info on them, and you can reach out to them that way as well. It's a little bit, or it's quite a bit faster than trying to go to each site by hand right there. But just reaching out to those businesses right there, I think would give you a pretty good advantage, especially if you have like a free offer where initially they only have to pay, you know, if they only make you know, an in-store sales. That's a pretty good deal right there. So that right there, I think, would be a pretty good start. You could also use some of the tools, like our lead tools and stuff inside of Webfire, to find businesses out there asking questions on Groupon, and asking questions if like Groupon has worked for other businesses or stuff like that, and try to basically target those guys as well using the lead tools, and say, hey, although Groupon can be a great way to, you know, drive sales, here's some, here's some downsides of them, but here's a service that we have right here that's free to try, and, you know, where you don't have to have like major discounts or anything like that, and can be a win-win where we advertise for you as well. So you could use a handful of lead tools that way to answer questions of people, basically talking about other services and stuff out there like Groupon, and try to maybe basically educate them on how you're out there and you're basically available as well. So with that, Sean, if you have any other thoughts on this one, let us know. Otherwise, I'll move on to the next one.
Oh, I think that's good. Certainly a unique proposal that there is for people to utilize, and just need to, like Brian said, get the message across better, and actively reach out to business owners, because I'm sure once you start generating results for people, they'll be willing to keep paying you over and over again. Let's move on. Yeah.
All right. So the next one was look like a lawyer that is basically an immigration lawyer, and he helps people move to Australia. So this was the page that he sent over right here. This is like the free consultation page, which is basically an opt-in page. A few things I do right off the bat, if this is your opt-in page, is one, I would have a better headline, or in fact, I would have a headline to start with, because you have some small text right here that doesn't really pop out at all. You really want to have like a headline like like, hey, maybe enter your information below to get a free consultation on how best to immigrate to Australia and get the cheapest or best visa possible. Some kind of line like that where like it sums up the entire offer right off the bat right there, because here it's just kind of like it's explaining a lot. It's a lot of boring text and it doesn't really like pop out. You can have that maybe under the headline, but I would still have some kind of headline right there. I would also change around, again, the smaller headline you have right here. I would get rid of sign up, because it sounds like, just the language you use right there sounds like they're signing up for something, and they're really not. They're entering their info for free consultation. So I just say, enter your info below to get, a free consultation on the best available options for you to immigrate to Australia. I would also have where you have like the type of visas, I would make that a drop down, because like if you're truly trying to appeal to like someone that doesn't know what they're doing, what do I type in there? I mean, I'd have to do research. You're basically asking me to do like work. Now some guys might just say like, I don't know, or they might get kind of worried and say, well, gee, I don't know what kind of visa. I didn't know that there were different kinds. And then they go back to Google or some other site. Now I know you probably like talk about that a lot on your site, but you're assuming people read that stuff. And the majority of times, people oftentimes don't read nearly as much as you think. So I just have like a drop down where you list all the options that you have under, right here you have the visa types. So I'd have that be all the visa types, and maybe have one that just says, I don't know, because you'll find that a lot of people be like that. And yeah, that's what I would do with that, right there, right off the bat. And that would be a decent thing on the site to basically change right there. The other thing that I'd make sure that you do as well is I would basically target like a bunch of articles or blog posts or videos that go over like the main questions that people have, where you try to target the questions that people are asking on visas in the title tags or in the titles of the videos, or like, like you can use the main keyword tool inside of Webfire to kind of see, hey, what are the main questions or keywords that people are searching for, or just do like, if you brainstorm like 10 or maybe even 20 questions, if you can brainstorm those, chances are people are asking those. And then like you can go in and say like, like one might be, how to get a study visa in Australia, or what is the difference between a marriage visa and a partner visa, or whatever it might be. I don't know if those are related or not. Or say like, what is the difference between an employment visa and a skilled worker visa, or even having like maybe a question as the title tag, like what is the best kind of visa for moving to Australia? Any kind of terms like that. It's basically making like a little bit of like a spider web, where if you and it's not like you have to do this all at once, but if you even do like one or two of these like posts or videos or articles a week or so, or even a month, over time you get more and more and more of them out, and you'll start to capture more and more of these searches, a bit like a spider web, where someone might have like an innocent question of should I apply for like a study visa or work visa if I want to move to Australia, or what has a better chance of getting through, just like any kind of thing like that. And as a lawyer, you would probably know like what kind of questions we oftentimes get, and maybe think about how you can turn those into articles and stuff, or into little videos, or both of them at the same time. Start to rank for those. In fact, we even have the video Firestorm tool inside of Webfire that can help you make videos and stuff that you can get ranked. Or again, you can throw these up on your site as like an article or a separate page, where again you target each of those questions in your title tag to help drive some traffic to basically the answer that you have, and then from there say, hey, for a free consultation, go to this page here, fill out this, info right here. The other thing that you could do as well is you could search for, or you could proactively search for people asking questions or looking to move to Australia. And we have several tools to help with that inside of WebFire just by itself. One, you could search the real-time lead tool and try to find people out there basically asking questions like, hey, is it easy to get a visa to move to Australia, or how hard is it? And you could just take like a minute or two to basically answer them saying, hey, in this case, it's usually not too hard. In this case, it's not bad as long as you do this, this, and that. Just, an honest answer like that. And then you could even say, for more information, feel free to check out, my complete site here that basically answers a lot more of your questions, or feel free, to give me a call here for free consultation, or to email me here. Sometimes an email address might be kind of less scary than like a number for like a lot of people, because a lot of people think if they call in, they'll just get sold to nonstop. So sometimes like an email address might be a little bit like an easier way to kind of reach out to them right there. You can also do like the Rank Lead Finder tool, where you can find all the places that are ranked on page 1 of Google, Yahoo, and Bing, where people are asking these kinds of questions, and you can leave a post or a comment within a lot of those sites where they can start to see that, hey, you're an expert in that field, right there. And again, it's kind of like growing your spider web a bit more as well. You can also, one of the things that you can do as well is you can use the Tweet Lead Finder, which is just under social, and Tweet Lead Finder right here, and you can basically enter a handful of keywords. Like I might need to refresh this because I've had it up for a while, and I do need to refresh that. So I'll just refresh that really quick. There we go. So in this case, I made a search for you right there. So for the keywords, you'd want to have terms like, immigrate to Australia, move to Australia. And there's probably a bunch of other terms that you'd want to use as well. That's just two, off the top of my head. There's probably at least a dozen or more terms that you could use right there, but you can brainstorm a few right there. And then I usually like to eliminate, you're allowed to like exclude certain ones. Like in this case, I exclude RT, which stands for retweet. So sometimes those can be like more of like basically junk type ones. We also have a feature that should be rolled out probably at some point this week or next week, where we'll allow you to also exclude people that reply back and forth. Like usually they'll use like a symbol like this followed by like the person's name. So right now that's not in there, but soon that will also be a feature where you can actually exclude those. So that's kind of weeds it out a bit more. And what you could do is, in this case, this would be a global search right here. If you wanted to focus only, in like an Asian place, like let's say, because I know there's like a lot of Asians that tend to move to Australia, and I think, if memory serves, I think this was the person that said that one of their largest clients are oftentimes from there. That I might be mixing that up with like another submission. But if that's the case, you can also search by location. So let's say you specialized in people from a certain Asian place that want to move to Australia. You could target that here and click here to get the longitude, latitude of any place you want, and search within any kind of distance that you want of those places right there. And you can set up multiple different ones. If you also want to use like a foreign language, you could as well. So if you want to see, like, let's say they were basically talking, in Chinese or in Mandarin, you could use that right there and find those leads as well. Obviously, in that case, you'd have to have a person that understood that. But yeah, And then you just click on leads right here. And in this case, again, I only have the 2 keywords right there. In a case like this, you'll have to go through like a handful of basically junk leads. Like there's a handful of ones that might be basically joking about moving to Australia or stuff like that, especially in politics. It's like, in the US, there's like a lot of debate on guns. And there's, Australia has been in the news about how like they changed their gun laws, I think in like the 90s or so. So, in times like that, you might get a lot more leads that have nothing to do based upon your keywords, just because people are, using the keywords, but, in like a joking way. But it's usually pretty easy, to go through that. So right here, you just go through, like, here's a person right here that basically looks like they're wanting to move to Australia after their degree is done. Lots of people having conversations back and forth. Here's a person that wants to move to Australia to work in a certain office. Lots of people randomly saying, or they want to move. So you have to see how serious they might be, but usually you can read through those to see pretty easily. Here's one that had basically an offer to move to Australia because apparently her uncle, I don't know if he has a workplace there or what, but obviously they're tempted, so they might need help, like a visa right there. And yeah, you can just kind of go through and just kind of see. Here's a person right here that was apparently planned to move to Australia. Again, you can just kind of go through, and again, a handful of those will be like kind of junk ones or joke ones. But in here you'll find a handful of ones like you've seen that are obviously real right here that you could follow up with right then. And again, the better job you do on the keyword part, you can play around with that where, obviously the more exact keywords you add, the more precise the leads might be, but the less you might get. The more broad you have, like, move to Australia, obviously is probably a bit more broad and might include like a lot more jokes compared to immigrate or compared to go to school in Australia, or any kind of term like that. So you can play around with those and kind of get the best kind of balance. And in that case right there, you just kind of follow up with those leads, say, hey, I see you mentioned that you want to move to Australia or go to school there or whatever it might be. If you have any questions, feel free to ask, because I'm an immigration lawyer that is specialized in that. You can check me out right here, check out a video on that, or check out the most commonly asked questions or anything like that right there. So that's just a few things off the top of my head there. Sean, is there anything else you want to add in real quick before we go on to the next one?
Yeah, the other thing is that one of the things that you're going to find when you're trying to generate leads in something specific like this is that people search, generally speaking, by asking questions like, what do I need to get X kind of visa for Australia, or how do I qualify? So if you get like the top 10 questions for the different kinds of visas, and you have content to respond to them, articles, or if you make a video which you can repurpose a bunch of different ways that answers those questions, then not only do you get to rank for all that kind of stuff potentially, both in YouTube and in Google, but you also, when people get to your website, they don't just be like, okay, crap, I'm not learning anything. They get to your website and they're like, oh, look, this guy has all the answers, and I feel like I can understand what he's saying, and then you're going to have a much better chance of connecting with the people. So you can bring in more people and you can connect with them better on an English-speaking level as opposed to a legally speaking level. And I say this as an attorney.
Yeah, and one thing with that too, like another thing you could do as well is reach out to like a handful of businesses that might oftentimes deal with people trying to immigrate, but they haven't necessarily done all the stuff. Like, for instance, you could reach out to realtors, you could reach out to people that deal with renters and stuff like that, or even reach out to possible schools, like a whole bunch of kind of businesses like that. And you would probably best know what the best ones would be in that case, because you probably deal with a lot of these guys like every week. But if you reached out to those places and just basically either offered kind of your services as like help, or basically offered like a list of FAQ, or even offered if it's legal to do so, they're even offer like essentially a cut of your services fee, or offer to advertise. That's a way where you could possibly kind of essentially tap into a lot of the prospects that would be basically prime for you right there. So with that, we'll move on to the next one. Is right here. Here's one. It's kind of hard at first to see what they do, but they basically help promote books, or basically authors. So they have a service for authors. Now, right off the top, you need to change your site. It's super confusing. And when you have stuff like an opt-in page that says join our mailing list, never miss an update. Why should I join your mailing list? What kind of updates do you have? Why do I care? The majority of people won't care because they don't know what they're getting. Whereas if you had an offer like, hey, enter your info below, to join our list and get the top 3 things you can do to increase your book sales, that's a pretty good offer right there for someone looking to promote their book. You have to give them a reason to sign up. They usually just don't sign up for any reason right there. I would also probably eliminate the counter you have here. I don't know what that is. I don't think that's the visitor counter, but it's kind of vague. You said brand new feature hit counter. So either eliminate that, or maybe explain what that's for. Like, is that hits that are basically books, or basically authors that you've helped be like a bestseller, or help them get more sales, or what? Is very vague, and with all the zeros, it looks small. Whereas if you just say, hey, we've helped over 65 authors get to bestseller status, or anything like that, it looks much better. This just looks kind of bad. The other thing is you have a lot of links over here that doesn't really tell me much. Like, why do you have all these authors listed? Are those ones that work with you? Are those clients of yours? And also the other thing I don't like, if I click on pricing, I think right now nothing's happened, because I click that and I'm like, why hasn't it changed? And I click that, nothing's changing. And my first thought is, oh, this is broke. And then later I realized it changes way down here. But it doesn't move down there. So it looks kind of like a site made in like the early 90s. You have the cool kind of graphic thing in the background, but the rest of it just doesn't make sense. And you don't have like a clear headline on what you are. So you need to have a headline where if a random person goes to your site, I want them to know what your offer is within like 2 seconds. If it takes some more than that, you're doing a bad job. And right here, I don't know what it is. Even if I spend a little time to like read, it takes me a while to like really know what it is. Like I'd have to go down here and kind of read up on it and see. The other thing that I do too. Now this is like not a bash against you guys or anything. It's just one thing that if you make this change right here, I think it'd help you a ton. The other thing is too, when I scrolled down and looked at your packages, you have a ton of different offers. And it's kind of like, it's confusing. Well, first, it's hard to read because you have kind of like, a bunch of white text on like kind of like a grayish and white background, which makes it a bit hard to read, especially with like the moving hand in the background and the coffee and all that. But you have so many offers, it's confusing, and you couple it with the fact that it's hard to read. Like, it's, I would condense that down to only like a few offers and be clear and precise on what each ones are. The other thing too, which is huge, is I think you're not making the smartest move in the packages that you're offering. Like right now, you have a package where you sell it for $5 a month or $50 if they pay for a whole year, and you say that you'll help promote them. Now, what does the promoting entail? Because at $5 a month, I probably, if I was a prospect, I wouldn't believe you, and I immediately say, oh, this is like a crap service, and I might go to a place that might charge, you know, $10,000 and think, oh, those guys know what they're doing. Because your price is so, you know, cheap right here, my immediate thought is, oh, they're probably not really doing anything of value. And even on your silver package, you're only $10 a month, and on your gold, you're only $20 a month, and on your platinum, you're 30. And you know, you give like,
hey Brian.
Yeah.
And as like 4 or 5 people chimed in, they're like, man, you know, this is what happens when you're using Wix and you're trying to use a free site, and now all of a sudden, you know, you're stuck with all kinds of crap and you have really limited options.
Yep.
And so if you want to save $5 a month so that you can build like a really successful internet business, this is not the way to do it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So it's like, and we're not really talking about like a ton of dough. Like, you can get a website made fairly cheap. And it's like, if you don't have your own domain name, it makes you look bad. If you have like an old template from like the 90s, people assume that you're old and outdated, you know, in terms of your business. But also your price points are so low, like your mega package, which is your big package, is only $50 a month. So immediately I'm thinking, okay, they have a lot of benefits, like they help with, you know, like book posters and headers and videos and you know, a whole bunch of stuff. But immediately I'm thinking like, gee, like, you probably don't really know what you're doing because that price is so cheap. Now, on the same time, what you should do is, you know, I also don't see like, you know, a lot of the social proof here. Like, you know, you need to have the social proof where it's like, you know, hey, here's Susie, who we helped, you know, increase her sales this way, or have like a case study or testimonial or anything like that. That's one way that I would actually market it to. Like, you could basically join a lot of Facebook groups specifically for book authors, because there's a lot of them, and they're always asking how to, you know, increase sales and stuff like that, or sell more books. And you could give useful tips and stuff there, like, you know, hey, here's how Susie Q, you know, doubled her book sales with a few easy tweaks, and just kind of explain what was done to help her right there. And that gets like a lot of authors interested, and they're like, hey, here's a place that basically doubled the book sales or tripled the, you know, the book sales or whatever. Or you know, even have like an article on, you know, how to get your own book tour, or how to set up a book signing, or how to this. Like, a lot of them don't know how to do any of that. And if you have like a simple article explaining that, you kind of set yourself up as the expert, and people look to you as a service to basically help with just that. And once you have that, once you can establish the social proof that, hey, you can actually help people, you are an expert, you know what you're doing, even if it's like, you know, whether it's like a package where, you know, you help sell basically the physical books, or you help them sell, you know, books on, let's say, Amazon, you know, like an ebook, or you help them be a best seller there versus, you know, with like a physical book versus, you know, anything like that, you can charge a lot more. Like, if you had a more inclusive package and you had the social proof, I would say you could raise, you know, your mega package price easily from $50 a month to probably, you know, anywhere from like a flat fee of like 1,000 to 10,000 plus up front, you know, one time, easily. And you'd make a ton more. It'd be far easier to get clients that way, especially if you back it up with the social proof. You could have additional services and stuff where, like, you know, you could have like a ghost writer where for like several grand, or, you know, way more, you could help them write those books. Like, all the problems that authors have, you could help with. And, you know, right here it just seems kind of jumbled, and I don't really know what you promote or what you do or what exactly you do. And this might be like perfect to have also like a video where you basically explain what you guys do and how you help and why that's useful and all that right there. But really, I think, you know, if you increase your price points a lot, show basically, you know, the social proof more, show that you can help these guys and what you do. Think of like higher end services and stuff that you can do. Definitely change up your site a ton. And on top of that too, use some of the tools inside of Webfire, like again, use the social poster tool to actually like you know, to basically automate posting to like your Facebook account where you post like you know, a bunch of tips. Join a bunch of groups out there and post like a bunch of tips on those, on how, you know, other authors can increase their sales and all that right there. That'd be a very good thing. Here's one that one of the tools inside of Webfire is the Q&A tool right here, and you can use like any of the lead tools inside here to get like, you know, results in different areas. This is just for like Q&A sites. You can do the same thing for like Rank Lead Finder or Real-Time Lead Finder, and find guys all over the web asking questions. In this case, I use the keyword become a best seller. You could also use like become best selling or like all sorts of terms like that right there. Now in this case, because it's not in quotes, it will find like the words in close proximity. So you might have to weed through like, you know, a handful of leads that might not be a perfect fit. Like right here, here's a person that's probably somewhere basically talking about, you know, Oprah being a best seller. So, you know, you can skip past that right there. Like here's one right here, a person asking what are the steps of becoming a best seller, and they're clearly about a book right here. So that'd be a perfect lead for you to basically click on and write and say, hey, what are some tips that you have right there? Here's a person saying right here, hey, you know, why they're basically asking why have some books become a best seller when they're basically copied from earlier ones that have not. You could basically answer, you know, why? Like, why do some books have an easier chance, you know, of being a bestseller? What kind of promotions do they have? So on and so forth. You know, how, you know, again, more saying how do you become a bestseller? Why can't I sell more books? You know, all sorts of stuff like that, you know, and you can quickly and easily weed through these and respond back to basically the relevant ones for you right there. And you can do similar things with all the different lead tools and stuff right there and really establish yourself as an authority. You could also use the guest blogging tool right here to find blogs that specialize in, you know, helping authors, stuff like that, and you can offer with a click of a button, you can reach out and do like guest blog posts there and say, you know, hey, you know, you write up like a useful article on like steps that people can do to become a bestseller, and then kind of establish yourself as an authority. But you really want to kind of tell all your prospects all the work involved and what has to be done, and then offer them the solution where you help them do all that. So that's what I would do right there. Sean is right. Is there anything else you want to add in really quick there before we move on to the next one?
No, that's good. Let's roll.
All right.
We're running out of time.
All right. So this next one right here is a coffee mug seller, and one of the things that, you know, I would do offhand is, well, first, if you're selling only in the UK, that's fine, because, you know, you list your prices in pounds. If you're selling worldwide, I would change that and either list it in dollars or based upon the IP address. So definitely keep that in mind right there. But if you're only in the UK, great, but that's a much smaller market. The other thing that I would do as well is, you know, it's hard to have, you know, a general mug site, especially in the days of Amazon and stuff. What you want to basically do is, you know, create specific mugs for specific targeted markets, and maybe try to list them on Amazon and stuff like that, or advertise to them on Facebook and such, where, like, you know, like right here, if you have a mug on coffee, you know, you could have like a funny coffee mug and try to target a term like, you know, funny coffee mug, or you know, funny mug for coffee lovers, or just basically stuff like that. Usually if you have, you know, generic terms, they tend not to sell, you know, as well. It also looks like your site is a little bit outdated in that you have a lot of Valentine stuff, even though it's well after the Valentine. So I definitely, in this case, would again try to focus again on specific mugs, and then specifically target those guys, you know, on Amazon. You can target those, you know, with SEO, trying to specifically rank for specific, you know, mug type terms. You can also sell those on Facebook and stuff. But like, you know, an example is if you have like a funny mug geared towards people who own, you know, let's say a Siberian Husky, you could specifically target those guys, or people that love Huskies on Facebook. Or if you try to get it sold on Amazon, you could specifically try to target keywords related to Siberian Husky and coffee mug. Same with SEO and all that. Especially with any image you have, you want to make sure that your image alt tag is actually called, you know, some kind of keyword relevant to what you want to show up right there. But selling like a general thing usually won't sell too well in a lot of cases unless you're branded. And there was a couple examples of guys like this. Like there was another guy that had he had a site kind of along the same lines, was selling like shirts and stuff. And I'd say 4/5 of the shirts were kind of very generic ones that would just be like a random design that, unless you're like a famous designer, would be very hard to get ranked or to really reach out to like market. But a handful of the designs were specific to a certain niche where it'd be much easier to advertise to those guys or get those listed and ranked and such right there. So that's just a few tips right there. Another one which I thought was promising, you know, this next site right here, but needs a lot of work, would be this site on proximity marketing. Now, right off the bat, I'd say the site really isn't a website; just looks like a kind of like a white background. Stuff is kind of all over the place a bit. So I would basically touch that up, you know, a bit. If you're not a designer, you know, pay a guy, you know, outsource. It doesn't have to be expensive, but you know, you want to improve that a bit. Right there, have it look a little nicer, have maybe the headline be centered, and also immediately, like, you know, people won't know what proximity marketing is, so you'll want to do like a very good job of explaining it. Like even right here, you know, you kind of explain it, but it really needs to show an example. Like you need to show, you know, an example of it. Now you have a video, and at first I thought, oh, maybe it's explained right here. But when I basically click it, it's, again, I'm watching it, it's not explaining anything yet, it's wasting a lot of time, just making me want to basically leave. And again, we're like 15 seconds in, and you still don't know what it's about. And then you see like a Star Wars thing, and you see some stuff right here, and it's still not explaining anything. So at 24 seconds in is how long it takes until someone's actually talking, you know, about something to start with. But it just looks weird because, again, you have the Star Wars background, you have basically the person talking, and the transitions are weird. I would eliminate all that crap because this would kind of scare me off right here. I just have like maybe basically PowerPoint type slides, or even like using like the video Firestorm tool inside of Webfire to basically just say, you know, what is proximity marketing and how can it help, you know, make you a fortune, and then show an example of how it works, where basically the idea of it is when you have a phone and you're close to, you know, a certain product, like it could be a house for sale, it could be a product in, you know, in a grocery store, it could be a restaurant you drive by, it will give you an alert and like an ad, which sounds pretty cool, but you have to really explain what that is and how it works, and basically have that explained right off the bat, right there. Because again, I just don't think it does a good job of explaining. You kind of say, hey, it can work great for retail stores, great for, you know, restaurants, great for real estate, but explain how. Give an example of exactly how it works. And it's only at the very bottom that you basically talk about the pricing, but you say, hey, this is for one keychain beacon. This is for 3. Well, what is a keychain beacon? I don't know. And I've read your whole site here, and it's kind of hard to, off the bat, I don't know what a chain beacon is. So you're selling me something I don't know what it is. So if I stay a bit on your site, I understand a bit of what proximity marketing is. I've heard of this stuff, in the past. So I have like a rough idea, probably more than, basically like an average Joe, but it's confusing as to what it all is. And the text here is like almost impossible to read. I mean, you have gray text on a gray background. So again, I would fix up a lot of stuff and maybe turn it into almost like a webinar replay type page, or like a video one where you clearly explain what the benefits are. You show examples of it. You show how it can work, how it can be set up, say how easy it is, everything they have to do to start, so it's like super easy, and then boom, make the offer right there. That will help a great deal. And then once you have it clearly explained, where it's super easy, and this is not super easy right now, but once you have it super easy to actually explain, then you can actually go out and reach out, to the restaurants, reach out to the grocery stores. Again, just like one of the prior examples we gave, you could use one of our tools like the Lead Power Machine to basically target like local businesses anywhere in the world, get their email, their phones, their addresses, and reach out to those guys, where you have, like either a short email or a short call, or even like a postcard, or even like a short web page or anything like that, that just, again, clearly explains what it is and what the benefits are right there, so they clearly understand within like seconds what it is and how it can help. That would be very appealing, especially at the prices. Like, to have that kind of tech for only $67 to $97 a month sounds like a pretty appealing offer that I think a lot of businesses would be interested in. So it's a good offer. It's not explained well. It's not on a site that looks good. I don't really know what I'm buying, but the technology is interesting and the opportunity is interesting as well. So I'd fix up all that right there. The other thing that you could do as well is you could use the lead tools to basically target people talking about proximity marketing or asking questions on it. And you can answer those guys and just take like a minute or two to basically talk about that. You could also join marketing forums and groups on Facebook and basically start a conversation about proximity marketing and see if anyone's used that, or give some useful tips on examples of how to best use it, for like a local business or anything like that, to kind of make yourself look like an expert essentially. And that right off the bat, that should help a decent amount right there, by just cleaning up your message and then reaching out to places like that would probably find this really useful. But until you fix basically a page up and fix your message, I don't think it'd get too far. But once you do that, I think it's really cool and has a lot of opportunities. So Sean, with that, do you have any last minute tips right here, and then we'll move on to the giveaway and all that?
No, I think you've done as much as you can with that opportunity.
Cool. All right, so I'm just going to pause the screen as I go back to the PowerPoint just for a second here. All right. Alrighty. So with that, guys, if you have any other questions that were left, feel free to ask those now. I know Sean's been answering several of those, but if you have any left, feel free to ask now. And then with that, while we're basically answering any questions left, make sure to join again the free Facebook group right here to have your chance to win $100. So here's what you have to do. First, join the free Facebook group right here at getwebfire.com/FB group. If you're not a member yet, just click the join. It's free, and Sharon will approve of you probably within like a minute. If you do it right now. And then at the very top, or towards the very top, you'll see a post from Sharon that will be basically dated probably less than like an hour ago, basically asking what you thought of today's call. If you leave a comment within that post, so try to leave a comment within the post instead of outside on like a different post. basically telling us what you thought of today's call, whether it's, you liked it or if there's certain topics you'd like to see in the future. Let us know. We always love the feedback there, and we'll pick a random comment within a few moments right here, and we'll PayPal them $100 on the spot as soon as we have their PayPal email. And we'll actually do the drawing live in front of you using a random number generator site. So you see it's all random. And yeah, so make sure to join that free Facebook group right there if you're not already a member. And then just leave a comment on the post, and we'll pick a random winner in a few moments right here. And Sean, with that, if you've seen any questions or anything like that, feel free to mention those, and we'll try to answer those.
Okay, so first of all, when you guys post once, please, not 7 times, because we don't want anybody trying to cheat on everything. We did have a couple of people asking about e-com sites, and we have done specific trainings on e-com sites in the past and how to promote them. So we didn't get to them in all of this. We were trying to do a lot of different things to give you guys a lot of ideas.
Yeah, we actually did have some, e-com sites. I think last week we had one, and this week we briefly had the mug one. Yeah, so there's, I know, but between last week and this week, there's probably at least 2 in there. But basically, the rules are almost the exact same. Try to have specific products for specific niches or groups, and try to pinpoint if you're trying to rank, try to make sure that every product is on its own page, and that the keywords you're trying to rank for are in the title of that specific page right there. Make sure that any images you have of the product, you have the keyword tags on, which give you a chance not only to increase your rankings on that page, but also increase the rankings of the image itself, which oftentimes Google does. And then, of course, you can always try Facebook ads, specifically trying to target specific offerings to specific people. And oftentimes I see people try to sell like a general product that people aren't really actively searching for. Like if you sell a shirt that just has like a cool design, it's much more hard versus like selling a shirt that has a joke about a Siberian Husky, specifically trying to target people that love a Siberian Husky. So just keep that in mind right there. But yeah, we have lots of prior calls just on e-commerce as well, if that's a topic of interest to you. And we can make sure to cover some more in the future as well.
Hey, also, before you go to the Facebook page, Kristen mentioned that you were talking about how, hey, if you're from the U.S. or another country and you see UK pounds, that doesn't necessarily help you. Christian mentioned that there are applications, definitely in Shopify and probably on other platforms, that will quote the prices and adjust them based upon the location of the visitor.
Yep.
So that's pretty much everything. Got all the questions answered, and we can wrap it up.
All right. So here's the post right here from Sharon from 52 minutes ago. And again, just leave a comment within right here. And I'll give you guys maybe another 10 seconds to leave a comment there, and then we'll pick a winner. And yeah, it looks like you guys like this one, so that's good right there. And we can definitely do more of these on like an ongoing basis. If you guys really like this, I see at least April here said it'd be great to have this like once a month. We can try to look into doing these more often, because you guys definitely seem to like this a lot more than like the SEO analysis and a few others like that, and that's always good feedback to get there. So with that, I'll just refresh the page, and you guys will get maybe 5 seconds to leave a comment. We'll do 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, and here's the comments. Now it's being super slow to load. All right. Load. Why aren't you loading? I'll just refresh the page. Sometimes Facebook acts up.
Either that or it's that Mac.
Oh, there it goes. All right. So I'll count the ones outside because there's always a few that post outside. All right, so one person posted outside. All right. Four, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. All right. So there's 11 outside. Now, some posted on the wrong one. Again, we'll count those, but in the future, try to have it posted under the right one. Right here makes it way easier to count. So 11 plus 51, we'd have 62. And I'll go to random.org right here. Do you want to take a guess, Sean? What
6.
will it be? 6, you say?
Yeah, I'm going to make it easy for you.
1 to 62. 23.
And look how close I was. 2 times 3 is 6.
All right, so 23. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21.
The suspense
22,
build.
23. So, Julian
Thomas, if you look like this shadow of a person.
If you look like this person right here, congratulations. You are $100 richer, or you will be, as soon as you send us your PayPal info. So just in the chat box, just write what your PayPal email is, and Sharon will jot that down and send it off to you. So again, congratulations to Julian Thomas for being this week's Wednesday Marketing Webinar $100 winner. So with that, guys, thanks again for being on this call. If you have any other questions or any topics that you think would be useful to cover later or anything like that, feel free to write us at support@webfire.com, and we'll see what we can do there. And as always, I know there's a bunch of sites that we didn't get time to do here, but we still have those saved, and we'll try to do these a bit more often as well. So I'll go back to some of those as well, and we'll give you guys an opportunity to submit info for new sites and stuff as well. So with it, guys, hope you guys have a great rest of the week, and we'll talk to you guys later. Take care. Bye.